And the format they had chosen to use was an encrypted format of Signal. They were keeping each other informed.
In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, we are talking government transparency from the Signal app to accessing public information. Here in Oklahoma, state lawmakers trying to ensure open records requests are fulfilled in a timely manner, and the bill tied to the effort has now cleared the House. Supporters of the bill say the proposal will increase transparency in the state's government. Fox 25's Tom Ferguson joins us live from the Capitol now. Tom, what would change if this bill becomes law?
Adam, House Bill 2163 would create a position over at the state attorney general's office. That official would be able to review open records requests made to state agencies that have been delayed or denied. If you've ever wanted information about what state agencies are doing or how they're spending your taxpayer dollars, you may have tried to submit an open records request. Newsrooms like Fox 25 do this all the time. But where can you go if your request gets denied, or if you haven't heard back? According to Republican lawmaker John Pfeiffer, your only option is to take the matter to district court, which can be costly and lengthy. That's why he's pushing HB 2163. A public access counselor at the state attorney general's office could reduce time and expenses, according to Pfeiffer. On Thursday, the Oklahoma House Speaker weighed in after the bill cleared the chamber he leads.
We're going to continue to work with the attorney general's office and see what we can do to make sure we have good, efficient governance in the state of Oklahoma and whatever that looks like.
Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond came out in support of the measure. In a March 19th statement, he said, quote, "Citizens have a right to know how their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent and what their elected officials are doing to improve their lives." GOP State Senator Brent Howard co-authored the bill. After clearing the House, Pfeiffer said, quote, "This will give private individuals, the media, and lawmakers recourse and hopefully will speed up the process of the release of these public records. This would result in better transparency and accountability." The bill passed overwhelmingly in the Oklahoma House on Tuesday, getting 80 yes votes and only 9 votes against it. The bill is now eligible to be heard over in the Oklahoma Senate. We'll be keeping tabs on all that unfolds. Live from the Capitol, Tom Ferguson, Fox 25 News.
Thank you, Tom. And budget negotiations in full force at the state capitol. The House updated its budget numbers in its online transparency portal. Budget HQ created last year in an effort to push for transparency to the state budgeting process. This portal allows the public to compare budget numbers between the House, Senate, and Governor. These numbers are a starting point for negotiations with the Senate and Governor during the 2026 fiscal year budget. Now, this week, the State Board of Education's meeting suddenly canceled due to a conflict in the posting of the meeting's agenda. In a statement, Ryan Walters said the agenda was posted late because of a technical issue, but was sent to OMES ahead of the deadline. He advised the meeting to continue. However, some members expressed transparency concerns due to a potential Open Meetings Act violation, which specifies agendas be placed in a public place and online.
The agenda has not been put up in the 24-hour window several of the last few months, but for some reason this is the first one, and I think it's because it's the first time media picked up on it.
According to Walters, the board will now be meeting on April 24th. The Signal app currently at the center of a national controversy, but it's an interface we've been reporting on for years. Through our investigation, we're the first ones to tell you several state agencies and leaders were using it. We learned through an open records request in 2023, the head of the Department of Corrections and his employees using the app to communicate. The news sounded the alarm for experts about your access to public records.
It doesn't bode well. Usually when you have more secrecy, you end up with more corruption, more inefficiency, and more incompetency.
Last year, we reported the department decided to stop using Signal, and at the time, they told us in a statement the decision was made after consulting with the Oklahoma Attorney General's office and that it is not best practice to use those specific apps. Now, our investigation later uncovered more state employees were using the Signal app for public business. Back in 2023, we also reached out to the Office of Management and Enterprise Services to get more information on their use and stance on the app. We were told to the best of their knowledge, OMES did not use Signal, but after an open records request, it was revealed the agency was aware of at least 17 employees using the app. We also found employees were directed in both June and October of 2023 to download it for safety drills. An OMES spokesperson told us at the time The agency would be working to ensure employees were aware of all existing policies, including the Open Records Act, to ensure the use of any technology that does not violate existing laws. Now, while there have been reports of state government employees using apps like Signal, Governor Kevin Stitt told us this week he does not use them for governmental business.
No, I don't have any kind of messaging apps with state agency heads or my cabinet. I'm not on any of those apps.
Now, the conversation surrounding Signal growing on a national scale as The Atlantic releasing the full message thread from the National Security Group chat. Officials used the app to discuss military strikes in Yemen. The newly published messages include one from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth detailing specific times and sequencing of U.S. strikes. A federal judge ordered the Trump administration to preserve any messages sent and received over Signal between March 11th and 15th. This ruling came after a watchdog group filed a records preservation lawsuit amid the chat controversy. Cybersecurity experts say the political response to the Signal leak is threatening national security. Some arguing an urgent investigation needed to determine the wider impact of the Signal chat group. Observers say the political back and forth is wasting time because information from the chat could move from the phones of those included in the threat to cloud space. Once there, those texts could be collected by foreign hackers.
We need to get access to all of the devices of all of these people to see if any other information has been exposed and if that data has been commingled. Nobody has talked about that part.
I will guarantee you 99.99% with confidence Russia and China are monitoring those two phones. So I just think it's a security violation.
Since the phone numbers and emails of the officials in the chat are now online, officials say this makes it easier for foreign hackers to gain access to their cloud accounts. Senator James Lankford talked about the Signal controversy, saying he's not concerned about officials using the app to discuss, quote, sensitive information.
That kind of encrypted conversation happens pretty regularly among a lot of officials. There are senators and House members that also use Signal or other encrypted apps to be able to have sensitive conversations, but not classified. And even in that conversation, they mentioned there are some things we need to talk about, what they said on the high side. That is meaning we're going to have to get into a skiff to be able to talk about some of these things. These are just sensitive.
Langford did express concern about how a journalist was able to join a conversation with top-ranking officials and believes an investigation should be conducted to figure out how he was involved. Now, since the government scandal, the encrypted messaging app Signal getting more attention as downloads starting to spike up. According to the app, downloads this week doubled compared to what they were earlier this month. The app now has 30 million users. Use of Signal has increased in D.C. in recent months, especially after China-based hackers breached telecom companies and stole communications of then presidential candidate President Trump. And that was your big story breakdown. You can stay up to date on the push for government transparency on OKCFox.com.